Décidez-vous que j'effectue la lecture des consignes en anglais ou en français?
En anglais.
Each team has 20 minutes to present its case to the judges. I will show a board for the 10, 5, last 2 minutes, and the last 30 seconds of the presentation. During the last 10 seconds of the speech, I will indicate by means of my two hands the number of the remaining seconds. A team not having ended its presentation after 20 minutes will be stopped to move on to the period of questions. A period of questions of a maximal duration of 5 minutes is assigned to the jury at the end of the presentation. I would like to remind to each judge that it's mandatory to ask at least one question during this period. I will invite the judges to introduce themselves.
Hi, Maha Abdelhak, Practice Director of Talent Management at Innsbruck.
I'm Luc Elou, I'm the President and Co-founder of Innsbruck.
Hi, my name is Marie Leclerc. I'm the Practice Director for the Business Consulting activities at Innsbruck.
Hi, my name is Annie Guérin. I'm a full-time lecturer here at HEC Montréal in marketing.
Hi, my name is Rebecca Cohen-Solal from the Uber Institute, working on expansion.
You can.
Good afternoon, everyone. Senior Management of Innsbruck and all of those watching here today. My name is Archana, and these are my colleagues Valeria and Miles, and today we'll be walking you through what we see the future at Innsbruck. Before we start, we want to show you how we came up with our solution and what we use to guide our thought process. So, the top, we viewed this as sort of a pyramid, which you will see. The top of it is called ambition, and that's where we see Innsbruck going. Where do we want Innsbruck to be in the short term and in the long term? Now, the three foundational points that will allow Innsbruck to get to where Innsbruck wants to be, the first is an analysis of the status quo. So, where is Innsbruck at the moment? The next is what we call our RISE strategy, which has two components to it. The first is called protect, and we want to protect the brand of Innsbruck and the core competencies of Innsbruck. The second element is called attack, and how will we use the brand to attack geographic locations and to expand. Now, the foundation of this pyramid really is Innsbruck's capabilities, where it is financial capabilities or it is the key success drivers, which we will discuss, and how we used Innsbruck's key success drivers in order to craft our strategy.
Now, Innsbruck has indicated several short-term and long-term goals, and we've developed several strategies to reach these goals. In the short term, Innsbruck wants a successful collaboration with ACME Consulting, or AC Consulting, which will allow Innsbruck to be a distinguished early mover in the Pan-Gean market in the next 2 to 3 years. In the long term, however, and more importantly, is that this strategy can be duplicated and replicated in other markets for future acquisitions. And the RISE strategy, which we've developed, will be a dynamic and consistent branding strategy for current and future affected brands. Now, by implementing the RISE strategy, Innsbruck will be able to protect its existing values and stakeholders and attack worldwide opportunities through a unifying branding strategy. Now let's talk about the current situation. Firstly, Innsbruck has indicated its desire to acquire AC Consulting. And secondly, it has indicated it plans to expand into Pangea. Now the concern is over brand uniformity and future acquisitions.
So as Archie pointed out in our overview, there are two key components to our recommendation. The first is protecting, and the second is attacking. So now I'll run you through the protect component of the strategy. Now, in order to protect, we have two key focus points, and the first one has to do with your stakeholders. Now, when we were solving this problem, we wanted to think first about customer retention, because this is a non-negotiable criteria that needs to be considered with whatever recommendation you would go forward with. And obviously this has to do with protecting their perceptions of the people that they already work with. So basically when you have companies like Acme and you have their existing customers, how do we make sure that those customers stay with Acme and have the same perception that they've been happy with when Inspro comes into the picture as well? So that goes into the existing brand perception. Now, the next step is to maintain the existing business. Obviously, customers that have already worked with companies like Acme and other potential acquisition companies are happy with their service, otherwise they wouldn't be their client. Therefore, we want to make sure that you maintain that business and again, retain the customers. Finally, this carries through to maintaining the existing relationships and also contributing to them by coming into the picture and creating not just a double-ended relationship, but now a triple-pointed relationship. Now, the next key stakeholder is actually the companies that you intend to acquire. In this situation, it would be Acme. So these companies already have existing capabilities. Again, this is why customers go to them, this is why they have a presence in Pangea, and why they are doing the business that they're doing. You want to make sure that coming into the picture will be a positive and mutually beneficial relationship that grows not only your relationship with them, but their existing business so that you, in turn, grow as well. This goes into the next point of maintaining their existing core competencies and making sure that any companies that you intend to acquire are supported in the way that they would need to benefit from a relationship like this. And finally, you create an existing relationship not with their customers, but now with them, so that you have a happy relationship going forward and will be more likely to have successful acquisitions going forward as well. Now, in order to protect the next part of our recommendation, we wanted you to focus on protecting your brand. So when we were cracking this problem, we tried to consider what were the types of associations that you wanted people to have when they heard Inspro as a name. The first one was cutting-edge technology, of course, as an industry leader in technology and SAP services specifically. Now, the second one is to be young and innovative, and this is exceptionally important when entering the Pangean market because the average age of the experience in that industry is relatively high. Therefore, when entering this as a market, you want to make sure that you are perceived as a fresh, innovative, and young company and brand because that's where people are really going to be interested. Finally, you want to maintain the high customer value that you produce and complement that with the high customer value that acquired companies are also producing. So in turn, you want to build these associations by the customers that you are now transferring over to your business as well, and do this specifically in the retail, financial services, and utility industries within software products in Pangea.
We'll now delve into the attack portion of our recommendation. Now, the first element of it is a recommended change to your internal structure. At the moment, there are 4 components of the team. The first is geo-sales member. The second is pre-sales member. The third is expert in strategic industries sales. And the fourth is a marketing. Now, we recommend the addition of 2 positions. One is a specialist in a Pangean specialist in sales, and the second is a Pangean specialist in the strategic industries. Now, the reason we recommend this is because while entering a new market, while acquiring a new partner, it is important to be able to tailor your offering depending on the environment that you're in. So the addition of 2 specialists who are well-versed in the local environment will really help you tailor your offering and frame it in the best way possible moving forward. Now, the next component is more of an external one. We recommend changing the logo so that it's consistent with all the other ones after the acquirement of Acme. So that would be superscripted onto the Inspro logo. And where it becomes more interesting is how we recommend you unveil this logo. And that is through something we call Inspro Days. And that will be a celebration at the company office, the company that you've just acquired, where you will invite key SAP executives, customers, and you will have Inspro executives present as well, and that will be a celebration of the new logo, the new partnership, and it'll really foster collaboration.
So let's take a moment to really visualize what that would actually look like and how that kind of day and event will really make the entirety of our strategy come together to accomplish your goals. Feel free to close your eyes as you imagine that you are an SAP account executive. You're visiting the Acme office for the first time in Pangea. You're very excited, even though being a little bit tired from your long journey over. But you enter an area where there's a little bit of a buzz, everybody's excited, and you're not quite sure what's going to happen at this party. You don't know very many people, except for a few senior executives from Inspro that you've met in passing, so you go over and you have a little bit of a chat with them. They introduce you to some Acme senior managers who they are now going to be collaborating with, and you get into a little bit of small talk. The atmosphere is nice, but you're still a little bit unsure of what's going to end up happening. You continue a conversation with the Acme executive, who then introduces you to one of their most loyal customers. Already, you have a triple point connection where you see the interaction between the customers, the Acme professionals, the Inspro professionals, and the SAP professionals, all interacting with each other, building relationships, and having a positive appeal. Now, you walk over to the counter where there are a lot of snacks and drinks, and you grab a cupcake that has a very nice Acme Inspro combination decoration on it. And you wait as you see the different executives walk up and unveil the new logo, which says Inspro Acme, just like the other logos that Inspro has had in the past. You're all excited, you've networked, and you see how the brand is protected, the stakeholders are protected, and how they've actually executed onto creating a strategy that satisfies everybody in a very mutually beneficial way and allows everybody to gain from this collaboration.
So to show you what the key success driver of this element is it is the focus on emphasizing and fostering relationships. And this is threefold. The first is relationships with customers. So as we said, we would recommend the presence of loyal customers of the acquired brand. So in this case, it would be Acme Consulting. Customers of this brand that have consistently been a part of it and who have represented a consistent and large proportion of their business, so that they can see that even though, for example, in the case of Acme Consulting, clients will know that their interests will be looked after even now that Inspro is acquiring Acme. The next emphasis on relationships is with SAP account executives. We realize that SAP account executives are a very important driver of your client pipeline, so emphasis on showing them how acquisitions will help them and how there is a synergy between all key stakeholders is very, very important. And the third is relationships with the companies that you acquire. Internal alignment is extremely critical when you acquiring new businesses, and this environment where all of the key stakeholders are included, they get to interact, not necessarily in the most formal environment, will allow you to build trust, to build relationships, and to really create a synergy with all of the stakeholders involved.
So I'll go into some of the capabilities that you have that have enabled you to actually follow through on a strategy that looks like this. And the first one is a first mover advantage. So you have been very quick to recognize opportunities in Pangea, and going forward, you can actually create this presence and start this type of acquisition culture even in a new market that has high growth potential, and therefore establish your presence and be more competitive when it comes to creating business there. Additionally, you can create that rapport with the SAP executives. So as Archie emphasized before, this is an extremely critical step because they are the ones who essentially create referrals for end users to use you guys as a service. So you want to make sure that you have a very positive relationship with the SAP executives because they're the ones who are essentially going to go to end users, say how great Inspro service is, how great their collaboration with Acme is, and essentially drive customers to your service. Finally, you'll have a very highly trained team, and this also ties back into the 2 new positions that we recommend that you implement to have the Pangean experts to complement the North American expertise that you've had and succeeded with in the past when it comes to a go-to marketing strategy in North America and now in Pangea.
Now let me walk you through our basic financial assumptions. The most expensive portion of this strategy is, of course, the hiring of 2 new employees. Now, we assumed that they would work 5 days a week and 8 hours a day at $36 an hour for $75,000 a year. Obviously, this can be tailored to the living costs in Pangea, which we are not exactly aware of. Now, the last cost are the costs of Ensbro Day. Now, we assume this to be $10,000 for the day, and we think this is enough money to provide nice food, beverages, and a nice atmosphere for the SAP accounts executives, customers, and workers that will be attending this event. Now, let's talk about our timeline. Given the importance of acquiring the first mover advantage, we think it's important to begin negotiations to acquire AC immediately. As you stated, there's a strong partnership now between Ensbro and AC. So we believe that these negotiations will take approximately 6 months. Furthermore, we believe it's important to immediately hire these 2 new team members so that you can put them through the rigorous and extensive training that you do with all your employees. Now in 6 months, in September of 2018, immediately after acquiring AC, we think it's important to run Ensbro Day. This is where we can generate and build off all the excitement of acquiring AC and moving into Pangea. Now the best part of this strategy is that it can be tailored, and as you stated, Greater Country XYZ and Country ABC are attractive options for further expansion, and this is where you can implement the RISE strategy. Now, you came to us with your concerns about brand uniformity, and we're proud to present the RISE strategy. Why RISE? It will smoothly manage the acquisition of AC Consulting through a cohesive and a replicable branding strategy. It will help retain customers while building new relationships through high-value services. And lastly, it will grow Ensbro's geographic footprint to achieve aggressive growth targets that have been provided to you by the new private equity firm that has bought Rising. Thank you for your time, and we now open the floor to any questions.
Less a question than a comment. I really have to commend you on, you picked up a lot of nuances in the case that I haven't heard yet today. Things like the importance of strategic industries, going into new markets. That's been our strategy, and I'm not sure it was evident, but you guys picked up on it, so I was favorably impressed. The importance of the relationships with SAP for our growth and going into a new market, and this is how we get our business. So more of a comment than a question. I was favorably impressed with you picking up some nuances that were not obvious in a complex case.
Oh, I do have a question. It's going to be a really marketing question. How is the tactic of the Ensbro Days relating to your positioning statement? When you're talking about youth and freshness and innovation, how is this innovative?
So the way we saw the purpose of Ensbro Days really is to provide an environment that other players in this industry are not really fostering. I mean, when you think of an SAP partner, you don't think of a young, fun environment where all stakeholders can interact with each other in a not necessarily only formal way. That is really what we're trying to drive with the Assumptions, is that this day represents a fresh perspective on the industry that other partners don't really have. The emphasis on relationships, the emphasis on relationships transcending more into day-to-day life rather than just related to work. So that's where we saw that.
And the interesting thing, if I can add on, the ironic thing with technology is that it's something that kind of ideologically pulls people apart. So it's an interesting twist to start bringing people together through it.
Good point. That's the only one tactic? What about those who are not coming to those events? Because I don't think all clients will attend.
No.
Let's all be realistic.
Yeah,
here.
for sure. But it's about what this day represents. So like, it's not just those who attend the event who will hear about it and who will relate to it. It'll be, I mean, we can see whether it's live streamed, we can do something like that you don't have to be physically present at this event to gain from it and gain the perspective and the significance of it. And we really recommend that this day happens whenever a new acquisition takes place. So, of course, for the first one, everyone will come, but the more you do, the more people will know about them, the more it'll become a thing, so to speak, the more people will be invested, and the more it'll grow, the more you will have.
And just to add on to that, as you said, the key here really is SAP account executives. So we don't need to get every potential client or consumer there, but the goal is really to get the account executives there. Because once they see how great this consulting firm is, they're going to go back to SAP, and that's where they're going to refer their clients to.
Just a quick note, I thought that it was interesting that the parent company name is Rising and your strategy is Rise.
Yeah, I think it's...
Is it something that you thought in purpose?
That was intentional.
That was intentional. Okay. Because, yeah. Did you actually think about implementing a Rising strategy and maybe, I don't know,
So one of the things we had actually considered was to have a brand unification, because that was one of the core challenges at hand. Because Rising is kind of the overarching parent company, we considered using that name as the brand unification. However, we didn't think it would actually be as consistent or logical to do for two reasons. It wouldn't be as consistent because the existing other logos that are already in place only say a Rising company. So to actually rebrand that would be expensive, and then you would kind of start a bigger project than it would be necessary. So yeah, that was actually the core reason why we opted out
And
of that.
just to add on to that also, the element of association is that we want the association to be made to the Inspro name and not to the Rising parent company name. So that distinction in the consumer's mind is important to associate what, like, the actual association should be to the Inspro name and not to the parent company name.
So it was a wink.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.